We're going to break down music into elements. Music is made up of sound. There are 4 properties of sound: pitch, dynamics, tone color, and duration. Pitch is the highness or lowness of sound. It is determined by frequency of vibration in music. And in music, definite pitch is a tone. Distance between 2 tones is an interval. Western music divides an octave into 12 tones. The range is the distance between a voice's or instrument's highest and lowest producible tones. The second property of sound is dynamics. It is the loud or soft of the sound. Changes in dynamics can be gradual or sudden. An accent is a tone played louder than the tones near it for emphasis. Italian terms are used to indicate dynamics. That would be forte, piano, pianissimo, fortissimo, crescendo, and decrescendo. These are just some of the terms. The next property of sound is tone color, which is the quality that distinguishes one instrument from another. It can be described as bright or dark, but identification of the instrument or voice will be a focus in this class. There is an unlimited variety in the orchestra. The last property of sound is the length of time a music sound lasts. That's rhythm. With music, we have what we call note values, and that's how long a note actually lasts. Common tone colors are divided into voices and instruments. For voices, we have soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. For instruments, there are 6 broad categories of instruments, but I will want you to know the divisions of the orchestra: strings, woodwinds, brass, and percussion. Let's start with the string division. These are usually a wood resonator with strings stretched over the top. Tuning is controlled by tightening or loosening strings with pegs, as you can see in the illustration. They are played with a bow or they are plucked. The next division of the orchestra is woodwinds. They can be made of wood, hence the name. They can also be made of plastic or metal. The longer the tube, the lower the pitch. Sound in the woodwinds is produced by blowing. They come as single and double reeded. The next division of the orchestra is the brass, made of brass originally. They produce sound by blowing into a mouthpiece, and the vibration of the player's lips also produces the sound. The last section of the orchestra is the percussion. Sound is made by striking, rubbing, or shaking. There are 2 groups, pitched and unpitched. Examples of pitched percussion are timpani, celesta, and in unpitched percussion, a snare drum, triangle, or a tambourine. For vocal tone color, voices are divided into, as I said, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. One of those 6 broad categories is the keyboard. These are the piano, the harpsichord, and the organ. And now there are electronic instruments such as synthesizers and computers that create electronic sounds. Here is the layout or format of the present-day orchestra. Notice that it is predominantly strings. The percussion is located in the back, the woodwinds in the center, and the brass in the back near the percussion. The next element is rhythm. Actually, the duration of how long a sound lasts. Also known as the beat. When you hear accents or unaccented beats, you have syncopation. If you can tap your toe, it's considered metrical. It's non-metrical if it's hard to tap your toe steadily. The next element of music is tempo. This is the speed or pace of the beat. It can be fast, slow, moderate. It's usually indicated at the beginning of the piece of music. Again, Italian terms are used. Examples are largo, adagio, allegro, vivace, presto, moderato. The next element is melody, which is a series of notes that add up to some kind of recognizable whole. Melody has a recognizable beginning, middle, and ending. It can be catchy, memorable, and made up of phrases. A sequence is a melody repeated at a higher or lower pitch. On to harmony. Harmony is the way chords are constructed and the way they follow each other. Consonance is stable and restful chords. Dissonance is the opposite. When you move away from dissonance to consonance, you have resolution. A melody is a series of individual tones. Harmony in chords is simultaneous tones. Relative to harmony, the simplest, most basic chordal harmony there is the triad, which is a chord made up of 3 notes played together. An arpeggio is a broken triad sounded in a series. A cadence is a chord progression that signals the end of a piece or section of music. A lot of music has what we call a tonal center, or, as I call it, home plate, as in baseball. Our system of music builds tonality on a scale system. The scales can be major or minor. Major keys sound upbeat. Minor keys can sound dark or sad. Our system is built on the scale system, a system of whole and half steps. When you change key or tonal center, it's called a modulation. On to texture. It is the layering of sound and how the layers relate. There are 3 types right now for you: monophonic, homophonic, and polyphonic. Texture can be difficult to recognize, so I will give several examples within the class. An example of monophonic texture would be Gregorian chant, or someone playing on an instrument, like a sax or a flute, without accompaniment. Homophonic texture is a melody line with accompaniment. That's rock, pop, jazz, or hymn tunes. Polyphonic music would be 2 melodies playing together that compete for your attention. The next element is form. This can also be tricky to discern. The cap letters A and B refer to melody A and melody B. Think of a sandwich. Bread is A, filling, contrasting B, and bread is that repeated melody A. Many melodies are ABA. Our last element is style, the characteristic way of using all these elements. There are many styles of music out there today: classical, rock, country, jazz, folk, world, music theater. These are just some of the genres you can find in music. Many are included in this course. And style is certainly impacted by socio-political events, which you will discover as we go through this course.